Imagine stepping into a world where language isn't just communication, but a powerful tool tailored to your professional needs. Today, we're diving into the fascinating realm of English for specific purposes, or also called ESP. So join my partners Ariana Machado, Juliana Enriquez, Jose Lugo, and my person Andrea Villarreal as we explore how ESP not only bridges communication gaps, but also opens doors to new opportunities in the workplace. So you may be wondering, what is ESP? First, ESP is defined to meet specific needs of the learners. 2. ESP makes use of underlying methodology and activities of the discipline it serves. 3. ESP is centered on the language appropriate to these activities in terms of grammar, lexis, register, study skills, discourse, and genre. Even though it didn't exist for many years, some say that the most important part of English language teaching is ESP. Even though it started as a phenomenon, ESP was born through a series of causes that my partner Juliana will explain.
Moving on to the origins of ESP, there are three main elements that caused ESP to emerge. Firstly, we have the demands of a brave new world. After the Second World War, there was an expansion in scientific, technical, and economic activity on an international scale. This expansion created a world that was dominated by two main forces, technology and commerce, which generated a demand for an international language. For many reasons, this role fell to the English language. Additionally, since English was the key to international currencies of technology and commerce, many people wanted to learn it. Also, this created a generation of learners who knew why they were learning the language. For example, a doctor who needed to keep up with developments in their field. The second element of the uprising of ESP was a revolution in linguistics. Since there was a demand for English courses tailored to specific needs, influential ideas began to emerge in the study of language. Normally, the aim of linguistics was to describe the rules of English usage. However, new studies showed how English was used in real life communication. Also, they discovered that the language spoken varied depending on the context. Finally, this gave rise to the view that there is a difference between the English of commerce and the English of engineering. Therefore, they reached the conclusion that there should be courses for specific groups of learners. The last element of the origins of ESP was to focus on the learner. New developments in educational psychology contributed to the rise of ESP since it emphasized the importance of the learners and their attitudes towards learning. Also, learners were seen to have different needs and interests. This had an impact on their motivation to learn and the effectiveness of their learning. Finally, adapting an English course to the needs of learners would improve their motivation and willingness to learn.
Now that we have already explored the definition and origins of ESP, it's time to delve into its development. ESP has gone through different phases of evolution since its beginnings in the 1960s. And as the Cambridge University Press said, it happens at different speeds in different countries. The thing is, by knowing how this occurs, we can be aware of the different possibilities or issues that might happen when we have to make decisions as teachers or even as mother language students. So, there are mainly three phases, which we will discuss in the following slide. First, we have the register analysis, which, according to Garcia Mayo, language varies in relation to the different people who speak it and in relation to the different purposes to which it is put. For that reason, this first approach is an analysis of grammatical and lexical features of the language used for a particular purpose or social setting. This means that the teacher can produce a timetable or a syllabus, giving high priority to the language forms that students will meet in their science studies, but at the same time giving less priority to forms they will not meet. Then we have the second phase, which is rhetorical or discourse analysis. ESP became closely involved with the emerging field of discourse analysis. For example, in register analysis, the focus is on sentence grammar, but in rhetorical analysis, the intention and focus is to understand how sentences were combined in discourse to produce meaning. And this will end up in the creation and development of the ESP course program. In the third phase, which is called the target situation analysis, it didn't really add anything new to the area of knowledge about ESP. Nevertheless, it was very important because the existing knowledge were used to investigate more about the scientific basis. And that's why the ESP course design process should start by first identifying the target situation and then carrying out an analysis of the linguistic features, depending, of course, of different factors. And following with this slide, even though I said there were three phases, there were also other two: the skill and the strategies approach, and the learning centered approach. In the skills and strategies, the idea was to look below the surface and to consider not the language itself, but the thinking processes that underlie language use, while the learning centers was focused on the importance and the implications of the distinction between language use and language learning.
In today's global world, the importance of English can't be denied and ignored, since English is the most widely used language spoken everywhere. With the help of new technologies, English has been playing a major role in millions of areas. The demand for English language instruction in fields such as business, medicine, engineering, and technology increased as English became the international language of communication in these areas. So we can say that the development of ESP courses were needed to satisfy specific language needs of learners in these fields. So, after knowing this, why is ESP important? Firstly, they train with the language abilities they require to succeed in their chosen field of study or occupation. For example, if someone wants to become a doctor, they need to know the specific vocabulary and terminology a doctor needs to communicate with others of the same environment or even their own clients and patients. So, in this case, an ESP course in English can provide the language skills necessary to defend themselves in the area. Moreover, ESP courses aid learners in acquiring greater self assurance and proficiency in the use of English. When learners are able to communicate effectively in English in their chosen field, they are more able to succeed in their studies or careers. This can lead to greater employment opportunities and career advancement.
Following a little bit with the ideas posed by Andrea, English for specific purposes has become increasingly relevant for 21st century modern language undergraduate students due to several factors, as, for example, globalization and internationalization. The interconnectedness of the modern world has made English a global language, particularly in fields like business, technology, science, and medicine. ESP courses prepare students to communicate effectively in these domains, enhancing their career prospects. Also, career preparation ESP courses are tailored to the specific language needs of various professions by focusing on the vocabulary, grammar, and discourse patterns used in these specific fields. ESP helps students develop the language skills necessary for success in their chosen careers. The third factor in this case is the interdisciplinary learning. Many modern language programs emphasize interdisciplinary studies, combining language learning with other fields. ESP courses can provide students with the specialized language skills needed to engage in such interdisciplinary work. The other one is lifelong learning. The 21st century demands the continuous learning and adaptation. ESP courses can equip students with the language skills needed to access and engage with new knowledge and information in their fields, fostering lifelong learning in this case. And last but not least, the cultural competence that in a globalized world, cultural competence is essential. ESP courses can help students develop the language skills, cultural understanding necessary to interact effectively with people from different backgrounds.
With this activity and thanks to the readings, I was able to understand the background and the beginning of this branch of English, ESP. Reading and reviewing my classmates' points made me end up understanding the whole topic. Talking about the importance of this topic for the future, employers seek graduates who can navigate specialized contexts. Being proficient in ESP gives modern language undergraduates a competitive edge in international fields, boosting employability in multinational organizations. Also, understanding ESP prepares future educators to design courses that meet the specific linguistic needs of their students, making their teaching more effective and directly applicable to real world scenarios. This makes them more capable of developing teaching materials that align with the students' academic or professional goals. So, knowing all this shapes what we will become as successful modern language students.
Similarly, the takeaways. After reading and doing this activity, there are four main takeaways that stuck out to me. Firstly, ESP is very important since it adapts to the needs of the students and improves their learning, which makes it easier for them to learn. Also, this activity was very fun to do since I enjoy doing slides and presentations. Additionally, this topic is important for 21st century modern language undergraduates since they can course courses of ESP that can help them become a better negotiator, they can become better at presentations, and also they can become better at report writing. Finally, ESP is important for those who want to pursue a career in teaching because they will know how to adapt to the needs of their students and they will teach them the right elements and skills they need to know to fulfill their needs.
After searching for a lot of information about this subject, my main takeaway is that there is no doubt that English for specific purposes is a crucial aspect of modern language education, especially for students in the 21st century. Nowadays, English works as a global lingua franca, and the good thing about ESP programs is that they encourage students to combine language learning with other academic disciplines, which will allow them to prepare for real world situations. However, teachers trained in ESP also have a lot of responsibility. They need to adapt to the diverse needs of the students and help them to have motivation on learning outcomes. So, for anyone interested in a teaching career, I think ESP is essential for the development of their skills as well as for professional and personal growth.
Well, in my opinion, ESP is a truly innovative approach to language learning. I think it's incredibly valuable because it goes beyond the traditional grammar focused method. By focusing on the specific language needs of learners, ESP makes language learning more relevant and engaging. I learned that ESP can be tailored to various fields from business to medicine, ensuring that students acquire the language skills they need for their future careers. I believe that ESP is particularly important in today's globalized world It equips learners with the language proficiency necessary to communicate effectively across cultures and industries. I think also it's a great way to bridge the gap between language learning and real world application. Well, we can conclude that English for specific purposes has evolved significantly since its inception, driven by global demands, linguistic advancements, and a learner centered approach. Its importance lies in the ability to tailor language instruction to meet the specific needs of learners in various fields, enhancing their communication skills and career prospects. By focusing on relevant language features, discourse patterns, and contextualized learning, ESP empowers individuals to excel in their chosen profession and navigate the complexities of the new and modern world. Thank you for watching. See you later.